welcome to the official launch of the new exhibition, Turbanology, Sikhs Unwrapped. My name's Singh, and as well as being your host for this afternoon, I'm also the exhibition director. So you could say I'm here wearing two hats or turbans. Welcome to the Nishkam Civic Centre. Let's start off with the traditional Sikh greeting, which I'm sure you all know. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. This exhibition is about raising awareness through art about what the Sikh turban represents. The turban has a strong symbolic significance for Sikhs. It is a spiritual asset and provides a physical reminder of who we are at all times. But there is a growing misunderstanding of what the turban means for Sikhs in mainstream society. This lack of understanding about the Sikh turban or the star has been met with racism, prejudice and sometimes violence. In an online Turbanology survey, we found that 38% of those questioned had suffered verbal abuse because of their turban, while 14% said they were racially discriminated. Of those that we spoke to, none had been assaulted, but a trawl through news websites quickly brings up stories about Sikhs who have been beaten or attacked because of their turbans. And we all know anecdotally someone who has experienced this. So this exhibition will address this through art, why Sikhs wear turbans and why it is so intricately linked to life in Britain. And it begins with the rich contributions Sikhs have made historically fighting for Great Britain. As the Sikh chaplain Mandeep Kaur says in her welcome note in the event programme, the respect Sikhs earned fighting with their turbans is still held highly in political and military circles, where Sikhs are recognised as brave, honourable and fearlessly loyal. Serving Sikh officers and soldiers receive the gratitudes of those that know this and in turn continue the tradition of gallantly serving Great Britain. But in the wider world, this respect and honour is not reciprocated, but it becomes our job to spread this knowledge far and wide, leaving no excuse for not knowing what turban-wearing Sikhs stand for.
Our forefathers made sacrifices, our gurus made sacrifices. We today make sacrifices so that our children and our children's children can have a better life. The difficulties that we experienced when we were growing up, hopefully are not experienced by the children of today. It's heartening to see that there are so many members of the armed forces today here, and many of them wearing turbans. It's heartening because there is a history and there's a tradition. It has always been accepted in the British Army that Sikhs were an important part of the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, all aspects of defence. I would like to think that nowadays somebody looking at a Sikh, a turban-wearing Sikh, would say, as a default point of reference, there is a man or a woman who has integrity, honesty, compassion, is somebody who's trustworthy, dedicated, is able to perform what they're setting out to do. And that are the qualities, the true qualities of a Sikh. During weddings, I've never seen a Sikh wedding where the groom has not worn a turban. It is part and parcel of that uniform. Wearing of a turban is part of a uniform. As soon as I and any other Sikh wears a turban, they are representing, whether it be the army or the navy, but more importantly, they're representing the Sikh nation, what is embodied in the core values of a true Sikh. The other ceremonies where a turban is recognized include deaths. A Sikh will always have his final rites wearing a turban. It goes on further that the eldest son will be given a turban in recognition that he has been handed over the mantle, the head of the household. That's the significance of a turban. Hopefully, this exhibition will highlight some of the important factors, the issues that Sikhs today encounter, the difficulties that they encounter, and hopefully, as a cohesive force, we can move forward. There are still difficulties abound, as you've heard and seen in the clips after 9/11. The security arrangements, there has to be a movement where one cohesive body can move forward and meet with ministers and those who legislate to ensure that the needs and the aspirations of all Sikhs are met, what they require to be dealt with are dealt with, and we can move forward and be more industrious and included and inclusive participants in the community. Those are the thoughts that I wish to share with you here today, and I hope all the success for this further exhibition. Thank you very much. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.
So then, as we turn from the history to the future, this exhibition will show people all over the country, young and old, the true meaning of the Sikh turban. It is spiritual, it is practical, and it is art.
Just a very quick question to both Simon and yourself. To what extent do you think that an exhibition like this can facilitate political reform? And I'm talking in particular at the moment with airport checks, an issue which has been raised by Sikhs in the community and certainly conveyed via my radio programme Midlands Masala on BBC WM. Do you see an exhibition like this as a means of making those changes?
I don't think there's a need to create a new campaign. I think there's a need to rekindle that energy and that campaign that we saw Gurinder Singh at the fore of during the late 70s and early 80s, which led to the Mandela versus Lee House of Lords ruling. I think that's the debate we should be having, the fact that British law protects the turban. It can't be changed, it's enshrined in statute, and what our role is, and certainly what I see the role of the exhibition to be, is to make people remember that, and if they didn't know in the first place, then raise the awareness of the fact that this law exists, and to have that debate, as Simon said. Art is a fantastic format. I mean, look at the people around you that we've been able to bring to this exhibition launch and to this exhibition today. Art can speak across those boundaries, art can speak across those barriers in a way that any other format, and perhaps maybe music could as well, doesn't do. And through the exhibition, I certainly think we can definitely rekindle that energy and that debate once again.
I was interested when you were talking about the turban as an art object, and I was really struck looking downstairs about the real kind of performative aspect there is to the idea of tying the turban and putting it on and wearing it, and I've forgotten the name of the lady in the film who was talking about living underneath something, which I find really fascinating. I was thinking, though, often in an art context, we're invited as audience to interpret things and bring, you know, as a viewer, your own kind of understandings and kind of interpretations of what it is. But when I look at turbans, I feel what I find really interesting is the very specific kind of meanings that the turban has within religion, within the culture of Sikhism, and also to individuals, because each individual will have a very personal relationship. So I'm sort of interested in how you've managed to fit in between those two different ways of looking at objects, the sort of art world, disinterested, kind of cool way of looking at an object and bringing a very individual look, and then also this very kind of you know, very specific meanings that a turban has within culture, the Sikh culture.
If you look at André Malraux, for instance, who's one of the French trendy writers on culture, who wrote a book called Without Walls. One of my heroes, as many people know in this room. I can get into him later. He wrote a series of books, and he was one of the first people to use photographs, publish books of art objects, and to put objects from around the world with European art together and say this is art. But one of his key things was, you take something out of a church, for instance, out of the wild, and you put it in a museum, instantly the meaning has changed. It's no longer a devotional object, and we're encouraged to look at it in a different way. So yeah, that's at the basis of all of this, really. You know, that's quite an unknowing thing, and one has to look at these turbans perhaps as being in the wild, yeah, uncaptured. And also, I think turbanology, which is very much Jay's idea, is quite a playful way of thinking about that. Also, you've got, and this is, I think I'm taking this the other half of what you're asking, is this kind of spirit thing, the spiritual aspect, which obviously you were touching on. If you look at European art, up until recently, it was all spiritual, you know? Virgin Mary, even Epstein, this Jewish guy reinterpreting you know, Christian stories from the Bible for different audiences. And now it isn't anymore. And I think if you went to Goldsmiths, if you asked artists today to start thinking about those spiritual aspects, they'd be very puzzled. So yeah, definitely, those aspects are there. But it's like everything else, if you're creating a show, like saying, it's how do you bring these elements together.
For future generations, we must now too fulfill this role by informing and educating those that perceive the turban negatively about the true values of the turban. The Turbanology exhibition will tour all over the country, giving people an insight into what the Sikh turban represents, is accessible, it's interactive, and most importantly, it does it in a very fun and interactive way. Finally, let me thank you all for coming and ask that you please fill in the feedback forms on your seats and hand it to one of the assistants or leave it on the front desk downstairs. Thanks to serving representatives from the British Armed Forces who are here today and you might see in future exhibition panels. If I could ask you to remain in your seats, we're blessed to be in the presence of Bhai Sahib from Guru Nanak Nishkam Seva Jatha. Bhai Sahib is going to lead us downstairs for the official ribbon cutting ceremony. Thank you very much for coming. Bhai Sahib, would you do us the tremendous honour of cutting the ribbon and allowing Sangat to see the Turbanology Sikhs Unwrapped exhibition?
That's my privilege and honour. Thank you.
Bole Sonehal!